Hi there, this is Malay and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will take a look at how do we work with the VB script inside the Power Automate desktop. So let's get started. Now I have a sales team file wherein I have one sheet with the data. I have a macro written there. Now if you don't have the developer tab, because when you want to write the macro or a VBA code, you will need the developer tab. If you don't have that, you can head over to files, then go to options, go to customize ribbon, and then you will scroll down and find the developer tab. You can select it and click on OK and you will get the developer tab. Now we already have a 2 macro here. If I go ahead and simply click on Visual Basic and click on module 1, now I have 2 simple macro VBA code. The first is inserting the column. It just takes the first sheet and inserts 2 columns in the beginning and then sets the header. The another one, it simply filters the 6th column with the North Carolina. So if I close this, we have a 6th column which is a state and it filters using North Carolina. Let me click on macro and first click on insert column and click run. So you see that we have 2 columns inserted. If I go ahead and delete this, let me run the macro again for the next one, which is filtering the North Carolina sales. If I click on run, you will see that the records are filtered and then I also have the prompt which is in the message box. Let me clear the filter and let me also remove the filter. Let me save this back. Now what we're going to be doing is how do we write this code in the Power Automate desktop. Now there is one thing to observe here is if you go to macro and if you edit the macro, you will see that this directly takes the instance of the worksheet and the workbook. Because the macro is running within the Excel, macro code, the VBA code knows that it already has the instance of the Excel. Now in the Power Automate desktop, that is not the case because Power Automate desktop needs the reference of the Excel application, Excel workbook and the Excel worksheet. So let me show you how this works in the PAD. Now in the Power Automate desktop, if you search for a VB script, you will find run VB script action. You drag and drop the VB script run action. Let me show you edit the VB script action. And this is the same code that we have already shown you that how it's working in the macro, but you will see a little difference here. So we will have to create the Excel application using create object. Then we will have to open the workbook providing the path that we want to work with, the file path that we want to work with. If you want the Excel to be open, Excel to be visible, you can provide this as a true. Otherwise, you can provide this as a false. Then we take a reference of the sheet. In this case, we don't have this. Let's go with number 1. We have one sheet. And then we'll be inserting the 2 columns and then we'll simply setting the value of those headers. Make sure that once these tasks are done, you will have to save the workbook. You close the workbook and you quit the Excel application. At the same time, you also set the workbook and the Excel app to nothing just to make sure that we clear out the memory correctly. You can also have the variable produced as the VB script output. For now, let's go ahead and click on save. Let me save this also. Let's close our script and make sure that we don't have those 2 columns. Let me save and close this file. Let me keep this open so that we can take a look at the timestamp change. Now let me go ahead and click on run and let's wait for the file to change. That will be a sales team copy. And you can see the sales team copy file is now changed. Let me go ahead and open the sales team copy. And you can see that we were successfully able to insert 2 columns. Let me go ahead and delete this and click on save. Now you will observe one difference that we have here is I am directly referencing the XLS file. We do not have the XLSM file, that is a macro enabled. So using PAD, you can directly run your VB script within the Excel file. Now here we have actually hard coded the path. Now instead of this, let's go ahead and grab this from a variable into the Power Automate desktop. Well, in this way, you will be able to use any variable that you define in the Power Automate desktop within your VB script. Let's go ahead and use set variable. Let's drag and drop before this. And let's just call it as a file path. And I'll just give this a file path here. Click on save. Now in this case, now edit this. And instead of this, let us use the variable. You can see the X. Go ahead and put the file var path, and also make sure that we wrap this in the double quotation. So click on save. Let's click run to see that it works all okay. And you can see that now we have a date and timestamp change. If you open this, we will see the 2 columns added. Another 2 more columns added because we already have the 2 columns added and we ran the script. So the script ran successfully. So this way you can get the variable from the Power Automate desktop also within your VB script. In order for that other script to run, you will have to make the changes according to this. Let's go ahead and see the 2 code side by side. Now here you see that we do not have all the dims. So you make sure that you don't have all the dims here because that is not something which is recognized by the run VB script action. Then you will see that we also do not have the field and the criteria. Now the way this works is you have to remove the word field and the criteria. If you use this word field and the criteria in the filter, this would also not work. So you make sure that you will have to make certain minor modifications before you actually go ahead and say that your code is fully compatible and fully working within the Power Automate desktop, because you simply cannot copy and paste the entire code. There would be a time where you will have to make the changes. Once you get used to it, you know that what is it that you need to change. You will be able to simply copy the code from the VB editor, put it to the PAD, and make some quick edits and quick changes that will help you to work with the VB script within the Power Automate desktop. By specifying all the different variables within the Power Automate desktop, you can go ahead and replace all these hard-coded values also with the help of the variable. Now let us say that you add this word that the script success. Now you're writing the statement using this echo. Click on save. Now let's go ahead and click run one more time. It's executing the file. And you will see that VB script outputs it script success. So if you want to output a variable after making some implementation, after performing some of the operations, you can use those variable here and you will be able to return the variable back from the VB script to the Power Automate desktop so that you can use it in your further logic. Just make sure that you have the variable produced available and then you can use it in the Power Automate desktop. Now, if you want to make sure that your script really executes within the specific amount of time, and if it takes longer, you would like to throw an exception. In this case, you want to make sure that you provide the timeout, and the timeout is in the seconds. Now, I would like to draw an attention to a very important point. If you are planning to work with an Excel, I would recommend you not to use a VB script. As you can see, I have opened the Microsoft.com blog, which says the VB script will be available as a feature on demand from Windows 11 version 24H2. And if you read, the feature will be completely retired from the future Windows OS releases as we transition to the more efficient PowerShell experiences. Even if you go to a scripting action references the official documentation of the desktop flow in Microsoft site, you will see an important announcement. Same announcement that I just talked about. It indicates that VB script is deprecated from Windows. In future releases, VB script will be available as a feature on demand before it is removed from the operating system. So, as a suggestion, what Microsoft indicates is you can use different scripting languages like PowerShell, Python, C# or VB.NET. Well, in this case, I would recommend if you are performing the Excel operations, then go for a Python, PowerShell or a C#.NET based code. In the future videos, I'm going to show you how to work with Excel files using Excel.NET and implement it in the Power Automate desktop. Well, I thank you so much for watching this video.